Hi, how you doing? This is Shoaib with CSR Collectibles.
Hey, what's going on? It's Doug, CSR Collectibles, and we have the man of the hour, Mr. Jimmy Spence from JSA Authentication.
Good morning, guys. I'm James Spence with JSA, James Spence Authentication. We're actually down here in our Florida office, but we have two offices, one in Parsippany, New Jersey, and another one in Fort Lauderdale. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Shoaib.
Yeah.
Pleasure to be here, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So to get in the business, if you're watching this, you either know about our company already or you're curious about our company. We pride ourselves on selling you guys authentic collectibles. Now, we get everything signed ourselves, so we know it's real, but we want to make sure that the stuff you're buying, that you know it's real. Because again, if you have something on your wall and you're not sure if it's real, you probably don't want it on your wall. So that's why we're here to kind of explain and discuss what makes the collectibles authentic. And that's very important to all of us.
Most importantly, it's important to y'all because you're on our website looking for items and you see a Jodie Foster, you see an Anthony Hopkins, whatever it may be item, and you want to know, hey, is this real or not?
So what JSA is James Spence Authentication. It's a third-party authentication company. So it's basically somebody else telling you that the autographs are real. What is third-party authentication?
Basically, it's an educated opinion on an autograph. We've spent close to 15 years. We're coming up on our 15-year anniversary at JSA, and we've compiled an exemplar file that's second to none in our industry, and of you name it, a who's who of everyone. Sports-related, entertainment, political, music autographs. And we've built a very, very large exemplar database to compare and contrast the autograph that's submitted to our services. And within the industry, there are a lot of forgeries. There's secretarials, there's stamped autographs, there's auto pens. It's a minefield out there. If you go onto eBay and you type in your favorite celebrity, be very, very cautious. There's a lot of forgery on eBay, on Amazon. We've had eBay contact us, and we talked about the amount of fraud on eBay and how to clean it up. So that's why third-party authentication is so necessary in autograph collecting.
Gotcha.
Wow.
So auto pen, guys, is basically it's a computerized or a
It's
machine,
an instrument, it's a machine that holds a pen, so that you're physically, the paper or the item is physically being drawn.
So it's a copy.
It's an exact replica of a programmed autograph
Gotcha.
of the original.
So
it's
to the
very hard-
untrained eye, if I sent something to Bill Clinton's office, I got it back, and I looked on eBay and I compared it, I think it's real because it came from Bill Clinton's office. It looks like it's a Sharpie marker or whatever it may be. It's got to be real. How can you guys say whether it's real or not? What's the process of that on something like this?
So if that Bill Clinton autograph was submitted to JSA, we first do an overall look. Auto pens have different characteristics that are easy to spot out without finding exact match of the auto pen. There's a very heavy initial pen pressure of the initial stroke. It's almost like a very heavy dot. As opposed to a long conviction of an autograph. So, when you see very heavy dots at the end points and the starting points of an autograph, that's probably the easiest way to detect an auto pen.
Just to sum it up, Jimmy, what you're saying is let's just say Bill Clinton, if you find the address for Bill Clinton's to get an autograph from him, they'll send you people will send the item to Bill Clinton's office. However, his secretary or assistant may sign it off. Is that what you're trying to say?
Absolutely, it happens very, very frequently, especially a guy a magnitude of Bill Clinton. He's got a lot of fan base, tons of fan mail. As a president, any president is going to get a ton of fan mail. He's had numerous secretaries that signed his mail, but more often than not, he would have an auto pen that would sign his name. And there were different variations of his auto pen. Bill Clinton has somewhere around 10 to 15 different auto pens.
Gotcha.
Wow. I heard you say something, you have a exemplary catalog?
We do.
What is that?
And that's the most important tool that we have at JSA. It's an exemplar database that's filled with every signature, every person of notoriety you could possibly think of when it comes to baseball or football, basketball, entertainment, a lot of the horror films. We have every actor that's played Michael Myers, and we also put the files in chronological order because everybody's signature has variation. You know, the easiest way to tell about variation is looking at your social security card. We all signed one 15, 20 years ago. Take a look at the signature that's on your social security card and compare it to what your signature is now. It goes through an evolution. Sometimes we like to just make it a lot quicker, so we drop a lot of letters. Or sometimes, you know, you want to make it nicer. But in more cases than not, you know, it becomes shortened, and signatures do evolve, and that happens with every celebrity, every athlete out there. So it's very, very important to keep a chronological file on each and every one of the signatures that we put in our exemplar database.
So basically, you could essentially get a Robert Englund autograph at the Comic-Con next weekend, and you could also have a Robert Englund autograph from 20 years ago, and they may look totally different, but they both could still be real.
Absolutely, yeah. We always, when I first have a piece that's submitted to us, I always try to find the era that it was signed in, because it's a lot easier comparing it to that, you know, to that specific decade. A Robert Englund autograph from the late 70s is going to look a lot different from, you know, Comic-Con that was that just happened last week.
Correct.
It's definitely
So
evolved.
to the untrained eye, you guys see a certain Robert Englund being sold by somebody, and you're quick to say it's untrained eye, quick to say it's fake. But if you don't know what era it's signed in, or if he was sitting down signing it, if he was at an airport, there's different variations, and you guys pretty much have a database of almost all those variations throughout the period of time and piecing it together. But if you see an autograph that was said to be signed, looks like the autograph he signed in the 70s or 80s, but it's on a print that was made in 2012, that's where it gets...
Your Spidey alert will go off.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Everybody can't remember exactly where they got their memorabilia from, but
Not that
definitely
off.
it's necessary to do your investigation work. You know, when you're looking on eBay and looking for vintage signatures, and I personally love collecting that vintage style signature, because you're never going to get that from that individual. You know, Robert Englund from the late 70s, it'd be very, very tough for him to, you know, regress and try and sign like he used to. It's almost impossible.
Right, yeah.
So,
because he's so used to signing how he's been signing and whatever.
and certain collectors might immediately, without submitting it to an autograph authentication company like JSA, they might throw it away, thinking this looks nothing like his signature now, not knowing that that is a vintage style signature,
which
of
could be
that
worth
celebrity,
more.
Which
Because there's
in
less of them out there.
Most cases, Doug, it is worth more because it's just so rare.
I see all the time, hey, I bought this on eBay, it came with a COA, it was authenticated, but, you know, when they send it to me, I see the authentication sticker is, you know, Joe Blow's authentication company. How do you explain that process of, you know, just because you bought it on eBay and it had a sticker from some random company doesn't necessarily make it authentic? How does JSA's make it more authentic or more likely to be authentic?
It's a very good question, especially since California, the state of California made it illegal to sell an autograph without a certificate of authenticity. But what they forgot to mention was provide a certificate of authenticity from a reputable authentication company. So it gives a big giant loophole to anybody that's selling autographs to just print up their own certificate of authenticity. To answer your question, Doug, the piece of paper, that certificate, is only as good as the reputation that the company that stands behind it. If you find an autograph and it has, you know, from, you know, Jim Bob's Collectibles out of, you know, Biloxi, Mississippi, doesn't necessarily mean that it's bad.
Right.
But at the same time, you know, do your research on that company. See what their reputation is like. See how long they've been in business for. You know, a lot of companies that have been in business for over 10 years, they've got to be doing something right.
Gotcha. So what is the difference between a standard JSA authenticated sticker and a JSA witness sticker?
It's a very good question. The JSA witness certification, that we call it our JSA WPP, our witness program, that guarantees the autograph to be authentic. There's no question about its authenticity. We had a JSA representative watch that autograph get signed. I know you folks are doing a signing with Rico Browning. We're going to have a JSA representative there witnessing every single autograph get signed. So we guarantee it to be authentic. JSA Witness versus our third-party service, we give our opinion, our educated opinion, that this is indeed, in our opinion, authentic. Cool.
So, with that being said, like a Babe Ruth baseball, you're just like, you guys are just looking at other comparison of signatures and saying, oh yeah, this looks good, or is there a little bit more to it?
There's a very thorough process that goes into every signature that we authenticate, especially a Babe Ruth ball. Something of that magnitude. It's not just my opinion. It's not just my father's opinion. It's the entire authentication staff when it comes to something of that value. So when a Babe Ruth baseball is submitted, we first we see if the age of ink is sitting on that baseball properly. When you have a baseball that was manufactured in 1930 and somebody forges a Babe Ruth signature on there, the ink isn't going to sit on that baseball the way it would sit if it were 80, 90 years old. There's a way of the ink welling into the horsehide at the time. They used to make baseballs with horsehide. And so you'll get an overlook of how the signature sits on the baseball. If that looks perfectly fine to us, then we'll look at the era of the baseball when it was manufactured to figure out, okay, and this goes back to our evolution talk. He couldn't have signed this before 1934 because the baseball was manufactured in 1934. So let's look at signatures from 1934 to 1948. That's when Ruth died.
Right.
And that way it kind of gives us a better understanding of why he's drawing this A this way, or he dropped quotations in the late 20s. So if you see quotations on a Babe, then it's highly likely a forgery.
And tell us the difference between a letter of authenticity and a regular cert.
So the base, we call it a basic certificate of authenticity, and that is a 3.5 by 5.5 card. It doesn't have an image on it. It has an alphanumeric certification number that corresponds to the hologram that's on your piece, and you can go onto our website, you type that number in, and brief description of your item comes up. So anything valued over $200, that's our threshold. Anything valued over $200 is required to go through our letter process. In our letter process, we issue, if it passes our authentication, we issue a letter of authenticity. It's on our watermark stationery. It's got a high resolution image or images of the piece that we authenticated. We go into very detailed description of the piece.
Yeah.
As a collector, you want to become intimate with your item. And we're all collectors at JSA, and we understand the importance of that. So we put as much information as possible on our LOA. We pride ourselves for that. And it almost makes it more sellable too, So basically the difference is it's a more premium service, and if you have a basic certificate of authenticity card or a witness card, you can always upgrade that to a letter of authentication. All you have to do is contact us through our social media, or Facebook, or Instagram.
We'll have all that information at the end of the video.
It's $25. You don't need to send the item to us. We can do all the work here. We can mail you the LOA directly, and that way, you'll have a premium letter of authentication with, a Rico Browning 11 by 14 that has a ton of inscriptions on it. So we always give you that option if you decide.
And why would someone want that LOA versus the basic certificate? Just if it's authenticated, it's authenticated, or is it?
It's the same service. We're still stating that it is authentic, or we guarantee it to be authentic in the witness. But you might want to see it populated on our website. You might want to see more information about that specific piece. And if it's one of your prized possessions, I encourage anyone to upgrade.
So the letters of authenticity, they're notarized by someone too. So
Yes.
Basically, you even have a check and balance for your signature, which is on the letter of authenticity. It's getting notarized by someone saying, I saw this get signed, pretty much a witness on your signature, so that those can't be forged.
Exactly. This is, we issue letters of authentication, thousands of letters of authentication every single day between both offices. We want to make sure that our letter is never compromised, And that's why we go above and beyond, especially on expensive pieces, because those are going to be the ones that are more prone to forgery or people photocopying our LOA. We have the image populated on our website. It's also on your letter. And then again, full detailed description. It's got our watermark stationery. Easy way to tell if you have a genuine JSA letter of authentication. Just hold it up to the light and you'll see our logo in the within the paper. You're right. We sign. I have it signed, and then I have the notary witness my signature, and then it's good to go with the product.
I like that because it's a checks and balances of yourself, but it's also another step because a letter of authenticity almost can be faked or copied, except for all the checks and balances you have on it. Make it very difficult to do that.
People have tried.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty miserable attempt I've seen. But at the same time, we're always evolving, just like signatures evolve. We're going to continue to evolve our LOA, right. And we changed up our certification label to a hologram just recently, and it's an ever evolving service that we provide.
So if I have a Babe Ruth baseball or even a Robert England photo, it could be anything, and I want it authenticated by JSA. But I don't want the sticker on the item just because I know,
I'm picky like
it's
that.
totally understandable.
How does that work? Can you authenticate the item and not put the sticker on it, but still be able to tell it's from that? Is there a way to do that?
We do it all the time,
Okay.
but it must go through our letter process. It has to go through the premium process where we image the item and we affix the certification, the JSA certification label on the letter.
So that sticker, instead of the baseball or the photo, you'd put it right onto the letter, so that way somebody couldn't put it onto something else.
Correct.
And it matches the number on the, okay.
And our stickers are tamper evident. If you try and take a sticker off, I would never suggest anybody do it. You'll probably destroy the piece. So, and that's for a reason. We don't want our stickers to be removed and then put on, a fraudulent item. We've gone through tons of research and development with our holograms. And they practically stick to everything, but in the rare cases that they don't stick to something, we do a letter of authentication on that. And again, it has the image of the item, detailed description, and the certification label is affixed to the letter of authentication.
Okay. If I purchase an item with the JSA certificate and it doesn't show up on your website, is this normal?
I wouldn't say it's normal, but it does happen. These are manually being entered in, and sometimes where it shows and there's two signers going on. It doesn't necessarily mean that we authenticated the item improperly. It's a clerical error. It can easily be fixed. Again, social media is probably the fastest way to get something like that corrected. We obviously need to see an image of the piece that the error is on, and then you just snap an image of the JSA certification label, and we'll get it fixed within 24 hours.
But even if it's not an error, sometimes it just takes a certain amount of time to initially get in there. Is that correct?
Usually, yeah. It usually takes up to 2 weeks.
Okay.
Sometimes they're uploaded within 24 hours, but it all depends on how quickly it gets uploaded. So yeah, if you don't see your image populate, the signing probably happened yesterday, and it'll eventually populate. So we tell our clients to wait usually about 2 weeks. If it doesn't get populated within 2 weeks, feel free to contact us.
And if you buy the autograph from us, guys, and that happens, contact us, and we'll contact them on your behalf. So one less step for you guys, and we'll get it up, because that's happened to us before.
What makes an item fail, and then also, will I be charged for the item, and why do you need to charge if it fails?
So yeah, it's a very, very good question. To answer your question, it is a pass or fail service. You actually have 3 different results. We either pass the item, gets our JSA letter of authentication, or our JSA certification. It fails, you get a rejection letter, or we go inconclusive. Sometimes an autograph is literally a check mark, like Robert Pattinson, Al Pacino. They have absolutely no substance to their autograph. They're very prolific signers, but it is impossible to break down that autograph. Very easy to forge, so we decided to just say, I don't know. When you get the I don't know, you get a credit voucher. That's good for a year. Anywhere you are, we travel all over the country, and you can use that credit voucher. It's as good as money with JSA. When it fails, it does cost the exact same amount as if it were to pass. We do put it through the same rigorous process. Sometimes I spend more time failing something than I do passing something because of the structuring of the autograph, or how good the forgery is. There's some very, very good forgeries out there, and it could be sitting on my desk for a week. And when that does happen, and we feel confident enough to fail the item, we issue a letter of rejection.
So it fails the authentication, you still get charged. That all makes perfect sense. Now the question is, do you guys have any incentive to pass or fail the items? Because you're charging either way. But is it better that you pass them versus fail them, or are you selling autographs? Like, is there any hidden agenda? Because that's something a lot of people wonder. Like, hey, are they just going to authenticate this so they could go resell it? How does that work?
So at JSA, we don't sell autographs.
So you have no incentive to pass Joe Blow's autograph or fail it. You literally just going by, is it real or is it not?
That speaks on behalf of our reputation.
Right.
It either passes our authentication, it fails our authentication, or we go inconclusive. There's no incentive to pass something. There's no incentive to fail something. We have to look at things objectively, and otherwise, we would run into a series of issues. Just because we have many different authenticators out there on the field. They're all trained in-house, and certain guys, take a while to become an authenticator. Certain guys have that base, that they've studied autographs, they've chased autographs. They know, that Anthony Davis doesn't sign in blue on floorboards. He
Right.
signs in black. Just like different information out there in the chasing world is very, very important. And this just goes into when we look to hire somebody or hire somebody as an authenticator. It's very important that they have that knowledge, because it's so invaluable. Celebrities are weird, and that I'm sure you guys have 1,000 stories on what guys won't sign or what girls
Right.
won't sign. So
Even if somebody's not intending to sell the item, why would they want to get it authenticated?
for one of those reasons is to have that peace of mind, to know that you have a Babe Ruth ball that's right now it's worth $10,000, and you can put it in your safe. It's JSA authenticated. It's ready to be sold at any major time. I mean, you never know when a rainy day is going to come by.
Right.
You want to be ready to have that thing sellable and with the proper documentation. Anything valuable, any autograph out there, you go onto eBay, people always ask about, is it certified?
Right.
Is it certified by that reputable authentication company? So you're just knocking out one of those steps. You're taking care of your collection. You always want to keep up on top of that, because certain items, they might become less valuable, they might become more valuable. And with the more valuable pieces, tons of forgeries come out on the market.
We offer on our pre-sales and for our signings, if you want to get JSA authentication, you can pay the fee, and you get people like, well, I'm never going to sell it, so I don't want it authenticated. And it's kind of like, I'm with what you said, and in addition to that, you may never think you're going to sell it, but when you pass it along to someone, or pass it down, your kids may want to sell it, or their kids, or whoever, and they're going to get more money for it if it's authenticated by JSA than if they are saying, hey, my dad gave this to me, I know he got it himself. Again, it's your word versus, or their word versus JSA's word. I think also like that it goes in JSA's database, and that's not going anywhere. At CSR, we pride ourselves on being a family-owned business, so we're not doing CSR to eventually sell out to a corporation. That's not our plan. This is our baby. Like we always say, we're collectors. We're trying to spread the wealth, grow our collections, help other people. And that's one of the things I like about JSA, which is James Spence Authentication. That's your dad's name, that's your name, and it's your guys' faces, and you're not hiding behind a Pepsi or a Coca-Cola where it's like, I don't know who owns those companies. Nope, they're great companies, but who do I go to if I have an issue? You know what I mean? And that's why I can go to you guys, and you're taking accountability for whatever it may be, hey, it's not in the database, let me go get that in there for you, Doug, or whatever. I like that a lot,
No doubt. I mean, it's our reputation, it's our name on the line here, and we're not hiding behind a corporate name or anything like that. And it's been like that we're coming up on our 15-year anniversary. So longevity is very important when choosing an authentication company. You don't know when, if a company's only been around for 3 years, you don't know how long that company's going to be around, or if there's going to be another shift within that authentication company. So I have nowhere to run or hide. I mean, my name's behind this, my father's name's behind it. So yeah, I would encourage that when choosing an authentication company, and we have good competitors, and you have choices, but always look at the longevity and the name behind who is servicing, or who is behind that autograph, and their reputation. And that's reputation is so hard to gain, and it's so easy to lose.
That guys, that's why all of our autographs on our website are authenticated by a third party, because, like he said, I mean, so hard to gain your reputation, but so easy to lose it. And you know what? We take the guessing games out for you guys. Trust the process, and we trust that, hey, JSA is repping it, third-party authentication. It's not just, hey, trust me and Schwabe, CSR. It's, no, these are documented, these are signed, these are authentic. And, hey, if you buy it and you change your mind on it, you're able to sell it on eBay quickly with the authentication versus, oh, man, now I got to send this in, I got to do this. No, it's ready to go. And even if you're keeping it, I like to have the sticker on my items, because when a friend, a colleague, whoever, a family member comes to the house and they're looking at my stuff, they're like, oh, they're not thinking, is that really real? They're seeing that sticker and they're, wow, he's got some nice stuff. That's cool. It's all authenticated. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yeah.
It means a lot.
Yeah, to most collectors, I encourage you to find out what you have. If you physically didn't see it get signed in person, you should get it checked out. And not only will you find out if it's real or not, but you'll find out the value. Once it's authenticated by JSA, you can always contact us and get a fair verbal estimate on what your item is worth. And I think that is extremely valuable when it comes to writing something on your insurance. God forbid something happen, a flood, a fire. You got to know the contents of your home, and that's very important.
Guys, this is why we take our stuff to JSA for authentication. The stuff he's saying, again, you try to say, I keep saying untrained eye. We're an untrained eye too, because we don't authenticate autographs. We sell autographs that we got ourselves, but I mean, the stuff that he's talking here is it's gold, because I wouldn't even think about all that. I would think, if the baseball looks like a newer baseball and it has Babe Ruth's autographs, it's not real. But I mean, he's talking about the material it's made out of, the quotations. He knows what era this was signed. The
intricacies of everything.
I mean, that right there, it's got to take a lot of time.
Don't ask me to fix your car. I can look at your autographs all day long. No, we've studied this stuff for a very long time. We've been studying this stuff. My father's been keeping records since the early 80s. He was an autograph dealer in the early 80s, and that's how we eventually developed JSA, James Spence Authentication. It's all about experience. Just keeping reference charts on, when the balls are manufactured. We have a whole reference chart on, if this ball has red and black stitching versus red and blue stitching, or if the William Heritage label is green versus navy.
So it's not even just the autograph that you have a database on; it's the items.
It's the item type.
And Babe Ruth only signed X amount of items. If you see a 16 by 20 photo signed by Babe Ruth,
I don't think I've ever seen.
Right, that's what I'm saying. So you know pretty much like what's what. Like that's just something like I didn't even think about, but it makes perfect sense as you're explaining it. To the untrained eye, it's not going to be
tough.
as easy as you're making it sound, right?
Yeah, I mean it's
easy for you guys because this is what you do.
It's easy for us because this is all I do all day long. I look at autographs. I don't work on cars. I don't deliver the mail. I study signatures, and it's almost I always tell people it's an eye calibration. And my eyes get focused on a certain forgery or an auto pen, and I'm immediately able to detect it. Now that doesn't say that new forgeries pop up every single day, and the talent out there is unbelievable.
So the process is very detailed, and we probably didn't even scratch the surface on it, to be honest with you.
We can talk all day.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, but what the purpose of this video is, we wanted to help educate some of new collectors And then you got some old school collectors that don't really understand, why am I gonna pay for someone to put a sticker on my item, you know? And this is kind of why it brings value.
Brings protection.
Yeah, it brings a peace of mind is priceless. I mean, you can't put a value on that, you know?
Absolutely.
So, appreciate everything.
Absolutely.
We're gonna keep
Thanks for stopping by.
it going, and
we look forward to doing bigger and better things with you guys.
and guys, we're gonna put all the contact information in the description of this. You guys can reach out to JSA directly. We sell JSA authenticated items, but we don't take your items in from JSA.